How many more DIDIs, Anja, could there be?
Oh, no one knows. A congressional commission estimated this year that there are 250 Chinese companies that have a total of 2.1 trillion shares trading on U.S. exchanges. And this tech decoupling shows no sign of stopping. So DIDI is first, but it could be that some of the other 8 big ADRs, American Depository Receipts, that are listed in the U.S. are next.
How much do you think this really has to do with Chinese national security?
I think that's the reason that the Chinese government gives, but I think there are actually 3 reasons that Xi Jinping and the Communist Party are doing this. The first one, and the most important, is they want to maintain absolute political control. They're going into a very hard year for China. The Olympics has to go well, the big Communist Party meetings in March, and then, of course, in October, Xi Jinping is up for an unprecedented 3rd term. So they need absolute quiet on political dissent. And I think that's why you're seeing these sweeping data security laws that, caught up DIDI, Tencent, lots of others, no approvals for online games, limiting gaming, crackdown on Chinese education companies. That's really the #1 reason. National security, as you said, I think is a second reason. And finally, I think Xi Jinping, understandably, he's got this new push about common prosperity. He's worried that some of these internet billionaires have earned too much money and it's really affecting the Chinese system. So that's why you suddenly see Chinese tech companies giving billions to charity and other. But I think those are the 3 reasons that you're seeing this decoupling.
But does it all then supercharge, this race to decoupling? And what does it mean for U.S.-China relations after that? Are we in the middle of a giant Cold War, to use a very dramatic term?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I would call it a Cold War, but it is quite serious. And, I'm always struck by the difference between how American business people see China, which I think is still cautiously optimistic, and what my friends in the Biden administration and those focused on national security see. And they see a much darker picture, Emily. I think there is a real concern about Xi Jinping moving from authoritarianism to totalitarianism. There's a lot of concern about human rights, understandably so. And even though the summit you saw between President Biden and President Xi 2 weeks ago kind of tried to put a floor under things, right now they're just trying to make sure that we have guardrails, that we're talking about the most important issues. But the idea that there's going to be a rapprochement and things are going to get better and we're going to go back to business as usual, I think is highly unlikely.
Meantime, we just saw the U.S. government saying they won't be sending any official representation to the Beijing Olympics. Also, the controversy around the tennis star Peng Shuai, who accused a Communist Party official of sexual assault, who has disappeared. The Women's Tennis Association, which is based in the United States, has suspended all games. In China, where is this going?
Yeah, on the human rights front, I'm quite worried. What the crackdown in Xinjiang continues. Peng Shuai, it's kind of an amazing story because it was so public and so international, but people disappear in China with regular frequency. You just don't hear about it. One of the senior editors of one of the big Chinese papers, Kaishin, suddenly disappeared a few months ago for some mild criticism of a Chinese film. I don't know if he's back yet, but this kind of stuff happens, unfortunately, a lot in this regime, and it just doesn't hit the front pages the way it did with the tennis star.